In children's services, equipment and furniture is moved frequently to create a different and stimulating environment for the children. So we have examples of home corner furniture that needs to be moved and other pieces of equipment that need to be moved around the rooms frequently. Now, in some services, we don't have examples that are as good as this in terms of a piece of equipment that is lighter and that has handles put into the side that enable one person to move it. In some services, this kind of furniture can be very heavy, not have the handles, and also be sometimes much larger than these pieces of equipment. So if you have got these kinds of equipment, some of the things that you should consider is whether or not you should be using a trolley to move it, whether or not you should be inserting handles in the equipment, or whether or not casters are appropriate for that piece of equipment to minimise the risks of staff getting musculoskeletal injuries or sprains and strains as a result of having to move that heavy equipment.
This piece of furniture is very good. Instead of holding onto the two pieces, which could be quite heavy, you can separate them like this. Hold onto the handles, keep the furniture as close as you can, lifting it, and then putting it down, bending your knees. It's always important to brace yourself and not bend your back while you're moving children's furniture. Children's furniture is very low, so you need to brace yourself, put your hand on your knee and pull it towards you like this.
Removing and putting sandpit covers on sandpits is another area that is a potential hazard for staff, and potentially they can develop musculoskeletal problems, sprains and strains as a result of having to move the sandpit covers. Sandpit covers themselves can become very heavy when they're wet, have leaves on them, have sand through them. And the other problem with sandpit covers is that to move them, staff have to get right down low to move those sandpit covers, so adopt often an awkward posture. Here we have a sandpit that is, one end of the sandpit cover is tied down permanently, and what the staff use here to secure the sandpit are these weighted bags. Now these weighted bags can just be dropped down onto the sandpit. They can be they don't need to be particularly heavy, and if you even want to use lighter ones, you can just use more of them. They could also have handles that are longer, so that they can be easily placed down without having to bend down. Not all services are as fortunate as this one to have outdoor equipment that is as light and as small as these pieces of equipment. You'll find that some services have older equipment that is much, much heavier to move. And so then you need to think of some contingency plans in relation to that equipment. Some of the things that you could consider is identifying the equipment that's the heaviest and minimise the movement of that equipment as much as possible. Also think of procedures to identify which equipment needs to have two people to move that piece of equipment. But ideally what you should be doing is looking at changing your equipment to lighter and more easily movable equipment such as this.
These outdoor furniture is very good because they're in different parts, so it's easier to carry and put together. You just need to make sure you keep the furniture close to your chest and brace yourself and bend your knees.
A lot of equipment in children's services has casters on it, and in this particular case on an evacuation cot, the casters are a little bit larger and they're designed to go over different surfaces, obviously because if there is an evacuation that they'll need to be taken outside and over different types of surfaces. It's a good idea for services to check the casters that they have on their equipment and to see whether or not they're in good condition, whether they're appropriate for the piece of equipment that they're being used on, and are they in good condition or do they need to be replaced?